Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode here at Global One Voice Empowerment Network. I'm so excited to have all of you join us here today as we dive into a topic that is very essential for anyone looking to leave a lasting impact on how to become unforgettable leaders. So, whether you are leading a team, a community, or even just trying to inspire the people around you, today's discussion will provide those inspiring insights, valuable insights, and practical tips to help you stand out as a leader who truly makes a difference in a community. So, we are happy to be joined by a remarkable guest, Dr. Tabatha Russell. She is a highly sought after keynote speaker, best selling author, and a financial expert with over 20 years of experience in the financial literacy industry. So, Dr. Russell is celebrated for also her empowering, entertaining, and enthusiastic approach to transformational speaking. And she's here with us today to share her wisdom on what it takes to be a leader people remember, respect, and follow. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy to have you. And before we start, I want to give you some few minutes to share with us what really inspired you to take on this journey for 20 good years and being a leader for 20 years.
Well, thank you so much, first of all, Rebecca, for having me on today. This is amazing. I will say also that being a leader is something that I took on at an early age, meaning that I saw something where I didn't want to be average. I wanted to be above average, and I wanted to
Yeah.
also leave a lasting impact in anything that I did. For me, sometimes I can be a little competitive from the standpoint of wanting to have a spirit of excellence in everything that I do. So leadership kind of came naturally. And so helping others, though, I found was a passion of mine to show them how to be the best version of themselves. So in the
Mm,
last 20 plus years, it has given me great joy to help to instill in others values as well as lots of things that they can use on their journey to greatness. So for me, it just came naturally to get into leadership.
wow, that's good. And the most important thing is like you are able to use what your passion is to help out other people, which is really inspiring. So I have this pressing question that I want to ask you. What does leadership mean to you, especially in the context of creating a lasting impact in the community?
For me, leadership goes beyond simply holding a title or managing people. It's about service, vision, and influence. A true
Yeah.
leader just isn't someone who commands, but someone who understands the needs of those that they serve and they lead by example. So, for me, in the context of community impact, leadership is about creating a ripple effect of positive change, meaning that I quite hear often people quote the text of if you're a leader and nobody's following you, then you're just basically taking a walk, right? Like you're just doing something and you're
Yeah.
going in the direction where nobody's following you. So creating that ripple effect of positive change is hugely important. It also means that you're using your resources, your knowledge, and your platform sometimes to uplift those around you, right? Like some people may not ever get the opportunity that some of us have had in us being
Mm,
leaders. We have the opportunity now to take them on that journey with us and allow them to experience some of those same things that we've gone through, but they also get a blueprint, they get a cheat sheet, and they get the wisdom and the knowledge that comes along with
yeah.
it from the leader. So that way they don't basically have to make the same mistakes that we did when we first started doing all of this as well.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, leadership is more of service than just like working alone. You're devoting your time, you're devoting like a specific time for you to do specific services. And it's about like inspiring people around you and helping those around you. So, how can leaders identify the most pressing needs in their communities and effectively mobilize resources to address them? Like when they've already like have this passion, they want to start this journey. How can they identify those pressing needs around them?
Yeah, usually that can be kind of simple, right? Just by
Yeah,
starting with a deep sense of awareness and humility and
yeah,
identifying the most pressing needs involves listening to the community, right? Truly hearing their pain points, the challenges,
mm,
and their aspirations. Also, they can do that by having some data driven decision making, which is also key, right? What are some of the things that people are experiencing? I'm in the financial literacy industry. So for me,
yeah,
numbers is everything, right? Numbers is one of those things that it does not lie, but it also tells a story. So
mm,
sometimes by gathering that information from the community, such as surveys or feedback forums or sometimes local stakeholders, the powers that be getting in on some of those conversations allows you though to find out what's going on and how you yourself can find that you can help the community, right? A lot of
yeah,
times we have the knowledge, we have the experience, and sometimes we even have the resources. But if we don't take a proactive approach to get involved, then a
mm,
lot of times the community will continue to have those same challenges because nobody won't step up. So the first thing
yeah,
is to take a proactive approach and raise your hand and say, I can do something. I can help. And whether it is just lending information and or either sharing those resources that you may have definitely does make a difference. So
mm,
once those areas are identified, though, effective leaders mobilize their resources by leveraging partnerships. And
yeah,
so I call it collaboration over competition, right? Getting involved with those that may do some things like you may do or otherwise, but bringing all of those resources together gives you now a bigger bucket and you can make a bigger impact. One person can do a lot, but if you have several people on the team, it definitely does make a difference because you have the
mm,
opportunity now to make a broader impact in the community. And let's just say the word spreads, right? So
yeah.
now you can invoke an action where other people may want to get involved as well. So with you doing that, it will definitely make a difference.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, awareness is very important. We all know about awareness, but it goes hands in hands with listening. So even if you are aware, but you're not listening to the people, like paying attention to those small details, you end up
Mhm.
missing a lot. And that's what most leaders end up missing. Like, yes, they have the passion, they have the ability, but when they don't listen, it becomes a challenge. So I just want to encourage like those the people who are listening to us right now. Like if you want to like be this leader who wants to be unforgettable or somebody who wants to create a lasting impact in a community, listening is the key, just like what Dr. Russell has just said. So, what are some examples of community leaders who have been unforgettable in their efforts to create meaningful change, and what can we learn from them? If you know of any of those leaders.
Yeah, one of the unforgettable leaders that come to mind is Dr. Martin Luther King, right?
Yes.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., rather. He wasn't just a leader of a movement,
Mm,
but he was a symbol of courage, of persistence, and a
yes.
clear moral vision, right? Like he
Mm,
um, definitely is high on the list when I think of community leaders, but he mobilized not just individuals, but he affected entire communities using nonviolence and peaceful resistance to advocate for civil rights, for example. So his
yeah.
leadership style teaches us the importance of having a purpose driven mission and the ability to inspire others, even in the face of adversity. Let's
Yes.
just say that today, things are changing at a rapid pace because we have social media, we have
Mm,
technology, and different things like that. And so at some point, we can use the tools or the tactics that was put out there before us and invoke change by simply first of all, getting with the times. But secondly, we can get the word out there faster. So I'm often inspired by the leaders that have gone on before us in the way that they're doing things. And
Yeah.
so we look at today, we're in on the cusp of some groundbreaking changes here in the US with potentially a new president. But with that being said, leaders like that, people that don't mind standing on the front lines and saying that they're ready to make a change or they're willing to help the communities to be better, then that is always inspiring from the standpoint of we can do something if we stand up, if we say something, if we put our resources together, then it's
Yes.
definitely going to help us. However, if we are not intentional about leaving a legacy, nobody will never know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody will never know that we could be the next community leader out there or
Yeah.
the unforgettable person that with a voice, right? All of us were
Yes.
given a voice, for example. And so, with that, that in itself is powerful from the standpoint of if we really want to make some change, we can just start there. Just start speaking up about the things that we can help to make a
Mm.
difference. And with social media, we can do sometimes changes overnight, right? Things happen in the communities. You see people uniting, and we're not just talking about, a group of 10, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people coming together on one
Yes.
cause. So I will say that having examples like those that have gone on before us definitely helps because we get to learn the importance of having personal convictions or being resilient and the ability to inspire action, not through force, but through the power of an idea. And so I look at when I think of other powerful leaders like, Rosa Parks and different people like that, it definitely does make a difference because they had an idea and they stuck with that same plan. They didn't change their mind. They didn't
Yes.
do something differently. They just stood with the cause.
Yeah, and I want to urge everyone that like lead. Okay, if you want to become such a leader, you really need to put in a lot of sacrifice. It comes with a lot of patience because if you're not so patient, to be like, well, this is not for me. I'm quitting today. And then the other thing is like there are so many great leaders. It's like one that you've just mentioned in our different communities right now. So the most important thing is like take a time and then look around your community and find this leader who inspires you the most and learn from him or her because it's always very important for us to learn from others because there is nothing that is new, like everything's always the same thing but just in a different way. So if you take a time and learn from the people around you, it's very important and it takes a lot of patience and courage. And so I want to ask you what's advice will you give to someone looking to set up uh, to s- to step up as a leader in their community, but unsure where to start from. Because I'm really, really, really very concerned about this. Most people always have this in them. They always have that drive. They want to do something very important. They want to become like Martin Luther King. They want to do a lot, but they're like, how can I start? Because they have that fear. So, what advice can you give to such a person?
That's an excellent question.
Yeah.
I would say start by leading yourself first, right? Leadership is a inside quality. And
Yes.
a lot of times, in order for us to be a resilient and an unforgettable leader, we've got to build ourselves up. Because how can we give out of our resources, for example, if we don't have anything to give? So I would tell people be sure that you build yourself up first, and then you can have the tools necessary for you to be able to help your community. But also, leadership also begins with personal growth and self-awareness, right? You've got to know that you know that you know that you have something that you can give to others. And so
Mm-hmm.
you don't necessarily need to have all the answers or an elaborate plan to in place already, but begin with what you're passionate about and then look around your community on what issues what issues identify with the most, and then take small but meaningful steps towards addressing those issues. For example, some of the things that we could do is volunteering, and volunteering is a great starting point because it
Yes.
allows you to serve while also learning from other leaders, which is a great thing because you said something that was key about them potentially not knowing where to start, right? So if they
Hmm.
volunteer in those areas, you're going to basically find out the information that you need that's going to help that person to be more successful. Also, they can find mentors that will help to guide them in the areas that they're trying to seek additional advice. And then surround yourself with individuals who have experience in leadership roles, and don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that sometimes not asking the questions is generally the thing that we find that people have the most challenges with because we don't want to speak up, and we're sometimes okay with
Yeah.
the status quo. So the other thing is that most importantly, understand that leadership is a journey, right? You just don't wake up tomorrow and say, oh, I think I'm
Yes.
going to be a great and unforgettable leader, right?
Yeah, that's
Usually it's
true.
something that builds and builds and builds over the course of time. However, we're all leaders, whether we're leaders in our households, whether we're leaders on our jobs. We can be leaders in so many different roles. And for some of us, we wear a lot of hats. So on the journey, you're going to make mistakes. You're going
Hmm.
to, but with making those mistakes, that's a part of the growth, right? That's how you become an unforgettable leader. So take every experience as a learning opportunity, and remember that leadership is about inspiring others to see the best in themselves as well as in their community. But that is how. That's the advice that I would leave to leaders on today. Those that are aspiring to be unforgettable is let it start with you. And with you
Hmm.
doing that, you can conquer anything.
Yeah, that's definitely very true. And I like two things that you said. We are unique, and also like we should always ask questions. This is always very important. I know some of you will be like, what questions can I really ask? And I want to say, you can just ask anything about like, why did you become this leader? What are your thoughts on, just ask random questions. But as you ask those questions, you'll end up learning a lot and also having this long conversation with people whom you think are really very important leaders in the community. Ask them these questions. Have a long conversation with them. Once you're having this conversation, by the end of the day, you will have learned a lot. And remembering, we are unique, like Dr. Russell said. You can never be the same. No matter how we aspire to be, we can be the same, but at least we can always like bring those uniqueness, and it's what makes the world beautiful. So thank you so much all for tuning in today. We've come to the end of our discussion this morning, and I want to remind you that leadership is not just about titles or positions. It's about the positive influence one can have on those around in the community. And if you're really inspired by today's conversation, I encourage you to take action. Start where you are right now and become the unforgettable leader your community needs, because our communities needs these unforgettable leaders who can transform certain stuff, leaders who can bring positive impact in our communities. So stay connected here at Global One Voice Empowerment Network, and don't forget to subscribe and share this discussion with other people. Thank you so much for joining us.